Bryan Danielson versus Hangman Page. Winter is coming for the AEW Championship. Ended in a 60-minute time limit draw. I'm Ollie Davis. This is Luco in DAD, your jam, that champion. This is the AEW Dynamite Winter is Coming special review. Please get your Omegachats in at WrestleTalk.com/support. Tell us know what you thought of this hour-long match that took up a half of the episode. Because I've got to be honest, I still don't know how I feel about it.
Well, that's not true. You texted me this morning and said that's one of the worst matches of the year.
You are a liar spreading lies. And you said I agree. I messaged Luke and I said, I'm a bit scared because, Tony pays us all the money. And here I'm about to say that I didn't think a 60-minute time limit draw between Hangman Page and Bryan Danielson, I didn't think it was the best thing I'd ever seen. And if anything, I actually felt a little bit emotionally disjointed from it. But we are seen as a big AEW fan channel.
Bias. The bias is real.
I definitely think AEW fans are just as prickly as WWE fans. The very diehard extremes. And I was like, if I'm going to piss off one, I don't really want to piss off the AEW ones, but I was like, no, I'm going to be true to myself. And I told you that, and you went, well, I hated it anyway, so.
It's not what I... Now who's spreading the lies now? So at the end of the match, I went downstairs to watch this morning. My new start time, I have discovered, is 5 a.m.
Oh.
Because the kid wakes up for a feed at 5 a.m. And the feed
does Lukey.
Well, the feed lasts for like half an hour. And there's no real point in me just going to sleep for another half an hour waiting for my alarm to go off. Also, if my alarm goes off, it may disturb the kid. I might disturb the kid getting out of the room. So now my day just starts at 5 a.m. So I walk downstairs at 5 a.m., put on the Fight app, because there's now an app for it on the TV. I don't have to cast the thing anymore and have it crash every 30 seconds. Thanks, Fight. And watch the match. And there was a point, I think after the second ad break, maybe he was getting into the third ad break. And during the ad break, Excalibur said, this is now the longest match in AEW history. And I wrote in my notes here, I think this is going to go to the hour. I think they're going to do the full hour here. And the longer it went, the more I was like, yeah, okay, they're definitely going to the hour here. But I never thought they would do the draw. I thought, because we're not too far removed from Bryan's previous draw at Grand Slam against Kenny Omega.
Well, in a paltry 30 minutes, though.
Exactly, yeah. So I don't think they're going to do the draw here. I think they're going to give Hangman or Wangman the win. And when it did go to the draw, I did go like, man, I really wish they had given Hangman the big win there. That was my immediate reaction to it. And I spoke with you and I said, yeah, I really think they should have just given Hangman the win. The more I think about the match, though, the more I think I'm wrong.
Okay.
And I actually think that the story they're telling through the draw is actually more effective than him beating Bryan Danielson here. And I suppose we'll go into it a little bit. I just want to get my opening thoughts out there for now. But I do think actually the draw was the right call. However, I do think it is too soon after the Grand Slam draw to be as effective as it possibly could have been. And I think that is the two main complaints I've seen against this is A, the draw is too soon after Grand Slam, and B, there were no debuts on this show, so it's not a 5 out of 5 show. The second one I just cannot get on board with, because I just think that is a real base level way of reviewing a show. But I did
cut out the lights at the end of the show.
I thought it was going to be the Briscoes. Yeah. I was fully expecting that to be the Briscoes at the end of the show. And then it was Darby's thing. I was like, I guess Darby's thing is the lights going out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think they played with fire there.
Yeah. But yeah, so I agree that draws too soon after Grand Slam, but I do think this was the right call. For the story that they're telling with Paige, I think this needed to happen.
So what is the story they're telling?
So the story they're telling, and the story they were telling in this match, is that Bryan Danielson going an hour was not a trouble for him. There were multiple moments during this match where Hangman Page, particularly during the commercial breaks, was going outside and drinking water. And the doctors were giving him water. And Danielson was just in there, flexing away, doing jumping jacks. Going an hour literally didn't faze him whatsoever. There was a moment during the match when he busted him open. And it went to a commercial break. But Danielson rolls into the ring and just starts showboating. And the commentators were talking about, why isn't Danielson taking advantage of this? Why is Danielson just showboating there? The match is still going on. The doctors aren't really tending to him. Hangman Page is just out there drinking water. It's because Danielson was doing it to prove a point. And the story that they were telling in this match is that, is Hangman Page good enough to be the AEW World Champion? Which is what Danielson said to him in their very first promo together. I wasn't expecting it to be you. I was expecting it to be Kenny Omega. You know, if it's you, that's fine. I'll take the belt off of you, but I don't really think it should be you. And what we got right at the end of this is that Hangman Page could win, and he would have won. If they'd have just had an extra few seconds, he would have won that match, and he would have proved Danielson wrong. But at the end of the day, Danielson didn't lose, and Hangman didn't win. So Bryan Danielson is still right, and Hangman Page is still now in a position where he is still on his journey. Am I really the top guy in this promotion? Even though I am the champion, am I still really... Do I belong at the top of this mountain? He hasn't had a match since Full Gear. This is his first match since Full Gear, and I think that's by design, whereas Danielson's had multiple matches. And so, now the more I think about it, the more I'm like, oh, actually, that's a really interesting story to tell, not just throughout the match, but also with the post-match as well, and what can go for the next stages in this. Perhaps I'm reading too much into it, but I do think it's an interesting story.
No, I think that's 100% where this story is going. Maybe they'll find a different way. But to me, just knowing Page's character, my speculation is that, yeah, that this time next year, Page will always have this looming tie with Bryan Danielson, and then he'll rise up to defeat Danielson. Because the story, and I've voiced these concerns for months now. I'm concerned about Page winning the title because I think the appeal of Page is in the chase. And then he wins the title. I'm like, okay, well, now what is the appeal? Obviously, I love him. I think he's a great character. I love his wrestling. But what is what's the new thing? Which he really needs to get himself over as a new champion. And I guess what you're saying is the new thing is actually the thing that was happening before. The only difference is he's now the champion, and actually the winning of the championship belt will now become beating Bryan Danielson. And next year, All Out, when it's Page versus Danielson, and Page finally beats Danielson in 70 minutes because they agreed to have a no time limit match, I'll be sitting here going like, what an amazing story. But you know what? It's what an amazing story with a bit of a boring opening. Because I do think this right now, in the moment, and it's difficult, and I trust AEW so much, and I really have no doubt that they will make it work down the line. So do take what I'm saying here with that in mind. But at the moment, immediately after watching it was just like, why isn't Page doing more? I've just done the whole 3 years of Page getting the championship. And that I thought this would have been a better match. Maybe not even a better match because the match is what it was. But I don't think I'll be feeling this way if Page won with 3 seconds on the clock. You know, that buckshot lariat, he hits it, 1, 2, 3. Oh my God, it was 59-57.
I really thought they were going to get... Once he hit that buckshot, I was like, this is it. Because there was a moment... Because he escaped out the label lock, and then he hits that lariat, and then he goes to the outside. And I'm there, like, at home thinking, Page, you need to move quicker. You have to move quicker because the time is running out. And I think that is me being invested in the... That's me being invested in the character as opposed to me being, like, Hangman Page, the... time is running out here, mate. We've got to go to a commercial break in a second. So I really thought once he hit that buckshot, it was going to be the victory. But then I saw Danielson rolling away, and I was like, oh no, they're doing the draw, and they literally rang the bell.
So there's when I was writing my review, and I still really don't know how I feel about it. I definitely I've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter about people because I ventured on there out of curiosity.
Oh,
you horrible place!
Oh, what awful! But why would you do that?
And it really is it is just one side going, "Oh my God, it's the best thing I've ever seen! Like one of the best matches of the year." And then the other side being like, "This is the worst thing ever! Oh my God, this is WWE levels of nonsense booking."
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I've seen a few of those.
What I have seen are the WWE defenders. I can't remember what people call them now. people who like, the real sort of ardent WWE fans. There's Twitter have got like a name for them and stuff. I can't remember what it is they call them now, but those people who are just like, a draw is a boring result. And I actually did see some people say like, if it had ended in a double count out, at least that's a finish. If it had ended in a DQ, at least that's a finish. And that's it, because in a way, that's what they have been conditioned to think, like, that is an acceptable finish to a big-time match. Time limit draws, because Vince McMahon has always hated time limit draws, and he hates time limits in wrestling because it's too, quote, Southern wrestling, that WWE fans now are conditioned not to accept it and just think that it is a lazy way to get out of having an actual finish.
It is a fascinating thing to live through.
E-drones, sorry, thank you.
E-drones. Because I hope everyone can recognize you're this too. But I do feel like AEW over the last few years is me learning more about wrestling. Because I've always just had WWE on, Impact, Ring of Honor, New Japan, or whatever. But AEW has really shown me this new way, or most of the time, bringing back old ways to do wrestling. Stuff I have never lived through week to week. So I really appreciate them trying to bring back the draw thing. And to make draws a thing, you do have to do them. But I've never lived through a time where draws are so common. So I don't know the rules. I'm just going by sort of like how my gut's feeling. And yeah, it's a bit close to the other one. But there is a story that it's Danielson who's had both of them. This one was longer. So I'm still trying to figure it out myself. I asked my lady partner, because I tried to explain the story to her. And I just said, what do you think? A draw in wrestling? Because she was like, I didn't know they had draws in wrestling. Doesn't really pay attention to anything like this. And she said, why would they have a draw in wrestling? I was like, well, because it's a new kind of result, isn't it? And she said, but you can decide who wins. And I said, well, yeah, but you can also decide who draws. And she was like, why would anyone ever pick a draw?
Well, that is in football. You do have ties.
Yeah. But she would say that, like, but why would you want a tie? I just thought I'd never thought of it like that.
And that is a really interesting idea, because I think in American sports, and I may be wrong on this, ties aren't common. I think you just go into overtime until you have a winner.
Well, it's because it's like 106 to 102 in basketball.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to know about this match as well, and the thing I was thinking about, like, after I spoke to you about it, and after I read through your review, because I was getting the images for you in the news this morning, and on the train journey in, I was listening to Stephen Larson reviewing it and going in Raw.
What did they think?
They both really liked it. They both had sort of similar, like, it's a storyline thing. It's a bit close to Grand Slam. But I do think I have got the faith in AEW that this is part of a longer vision of something.
Meltzer and Alvarez, just to say what I've listened to, unequivocally loved it. But they didn't really talk about it from a storyline thing. They were just like wrestling. The structure of this match, incredible.
Yeah, I saw John Alba tweet that, like, it's so fun watching Japanese wrestling on American TV, or Japanese style wrestling on American TV. And actually scrolling through Twitter and seeing, like, Bixton Span, like, they was like one of the best matches of the year, top 3 matches AEW has ever done. Sean Ross Sapp was going over the moon for it. Like, I saw a lot of people. Denise was the only person I saw that had, like, sort of mixed feelings about it. She didn't really know how the finish sort of affected her.
So I'm not sharing an opinion with Denise.
It's you and Denise Salcedo.
No. Maybe it was a good match. You know what, though? This was the best match of the year.
But the thing that I was thinking about is that I've got very few notes about the match.
Oh.
I actually don't have, like, when I was watching it and I had my laptop in front of me, I didn't actually make a lot of notes because I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. And I was so invested in what was going on and in the action and stuff that I didn't take the moment to sort of pause, look at my laptop, and make a few notes and be like, and this happened here. So actually, like, for an hour-long match, I've got, I don't know, a paragraph worth of notes.
Really? I've got like a page and a half.
Yeah, that's all the notes I've got about the opening match. And then I do get into caps lock a couple of times when Danielson rains down the elbows. And I was like, and there were moments where I was like, Paige looks done. Paige is out of this.
Well, this is the thing, like, if we take the match itself and we take away the story, because how many matches, like, look at the Young Bucks feuds last year. It's like, the story, don't really care for it. But when they get in there, oh my God, what a match. Near fall, all these crazy moves. This one for me, like, I can watch it and I'm like, this is an amazing match. Danielson is a master. Hangman Page is gosh, I've never seen him bleed so much. He threw himself through a table. Like, both guys.
That spot was awesome.
Yeah, really tried to really put it all out there. But then there's just like, as a match, going 60 minutes is objectively impressive.
Mm-hmm.
But was it an impressive match? Yes, it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, like you said this in your review, actually quite beautifully in your review, which was that, like, is it a really good match that went an hour, or is it impressive that it went an hour?
Yeah, like my favorite Starling quote is, "Quantity is a quality all in itself," because it killed a lot of people. And there were parts of me that thought, oh man, I've seen like this could have been a great 30-minute match. I'm not looking at this and going, story-wise, maybe, but for the actual wrestling, I'm not like, what an amazing hour match.
I loved the opening 10 minutes of this, where Danielson did nothing.
Yeah.
Where, like, Danielson, they would do a lockup, or they would do, like, a knuckle lockup or something like that, and then they would do the power and stuff, and then Hangman would start to, like, go in for him and Danielson would just get in between the ropes and be like, whoa, not just yet.
That's his new thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rope break.
Rope break. I'm just going to go for a quick rope break here.
Yeah.
And the more he did it, the more wound up Page was getting. And that was what Danielson used to, like, first take advantage of him. I thought that was actually, like, a really, really nice bit of sort of character and storytelling within that.
Can I just jump in?
Of course you can.
Because there's another part to this that we haven't spoken about, and that is the building story leading into the match. Yeah, the first 10, 20 minutes are very feeling each other out. This, Danielson's been tearing through the Dark Order, knocking out people's teeth, kicking their heads in. I'm like, what? This doesn't feel like the story.
I completely agree. And it's something that we have made fun of for WWE for so long. Like, this fierce, intense rivalry starts with a lockup. Like, like Triple H broke into Randy Orton's house, or Randy Orton broke into Triple H's house, whichever way around it was, and we lock up at the start of this match. And when they did that, I was like, okay, they're going for a while then.
Yeah.
I'd never
servicing the idea of a 60 minutes match rather than the story.
That's exactly it, yeah. And when actually they opened it, even when they opened the show, I didn't think it was going to go the 60 minutes time limit draw. It was only when they got into like the fourth ad break or so, I was like, okay, maybe this will be.
Yeah,
they're going to go to the time limit draw. But I think actually opening it with it was a really genius, like, misdirect, because I never thought it was going to go draw. I also said, actually, I don't think anyone had this down to go to a draw.
No.
I don't think we had one of our predictions was like there'd be a draw at 60-minute time limit draw next year. No one thought it would be this match. The other question I wanted to ask you and sort of like gauge your opinion on this, I got a message from Louis Dangoor this morning, because Louis Dangoor filled out his WrestleTalk podcast nominations for best wrestlers, best pay-per-view, best matches. And he messaged me this morning saying, like, I think we should probably resubmit things, because I think a lot of people want to vote for this to be match of the year. And I said, well, I think that might just be recency bias, because I basically said, like, whichever the match that's won is run away with it, and I don't think I don't think anything was ever going to catch it. But I don't know whether there would have been enough votes for this to A, get it like high up in the top 10, or B, even take the top spot. Do you think that people will reevaluate this as one of the best matches of the year because it's the most recent great match that they've seen? Or do you think people will vote for it as match of the year because they genuinely think it's match of the year?
If we were to hold the vote again now, I haven't it's just been me and you. No one else in the office today. I'm just going by what I've seen online, which, goes through its own kind of extremity filter. Look, I look at AEW and I think of the great matches where we've all been like one of the best matches in Dynamite or Rampage history. And I think of, like Pac Andrade, Andrade Cody, just
Danielson Kingston,
Danielson Suzuki, Danielson Omega. And I've just 5 right there in the last couple of months that I think are better than this match.
Do you know what? I think I said this at the time as well when we did the review of that Rampage episode. I preferred Danielson Kingston to Danielson Omega.
Yeah.
And like, as much as I can appreciate the technical brilliance of that 30-minute draw, I much enjoyed the Kingston match.
Bit of passion, yeah.
Yeah, and in kind of a way, I enjoyed the Kingston Punk match. It was my favorite match at Full Gear.
Same.
Way above the Omega Page match. And even though I thought that match was absolutely terrific and cathartic to see him win, but I loved the Kingston Punk match so much more.
Yeah. It's but at the same time, I'm not saying this is a bad match.
Well, it sounds like you are. Because it's a binary option.
Because that's what I was trying to say earlier, wasn't it? That I've seen people say it's a terrible idea and like a worse match. My Catman Dan texted me this morning being like, awful.
Oh, really?
I got 10 minutes. He said 10 minutes in, I'm already erect. And then an hour later, awful. And then he didn't send me anything for 4 hours. And then it just got like an essay text all the reasons he didn't like it. And it really does come down to, it's how you leave him, I guess. But like, I do not think this was a terrible, bad decision. And to go on any kind of extreme rant against it is just coming from a weirdly angry place. But I also don't think it's the best thing ever. I think there's too many obvious drawbacks. So is this a crazy thing to say it's, it's not even mid. I think it's it's in the above average area.
It's a 4 out of 5 Dynamite.
Yeah. But it should have been 5 out of 5.
And this is something because actually there was a comment I was going to read out that was on our the poll for this. See if I can find it very, very quickly.
I made the mistake by putting on WrestleTalk. The match happy face, the match sad face, and it was 75% happy. And I should have put a middle one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's neither of those things, I think.
Yeah. EA Primer said, if this doesn't make Ollie give this a 5 out of 5 rating, then nothing will. But I prefer
the interim shows to the specials usually.
But also, like, giving something a 4 out of 5 isn't a bad score. I think we said this because I got a lot of heat when we reviewed the WWE version of the deletion match. When I said, yeah, it was okay. It was a 3 out of 5 thing. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It was totally fine. And everyone read that to me saying that I hated it. Whereas, like, no, my thought was it was neither great and it was neither bad. And I think that we're in the same thing here. For me, this is sort of like, it's a 4 out of 5 match, not a 5 out of 5 match. So, but because I didn't give it 5 out of 5, some people might read that to be like, oh, I hated the match, and why do you even enjoy wrestling?
This is your Kong Skull Island. When you said Kong Skull Island was the best movie of all time, and I'm like, well, I really enjoyed it, but I don't think that. And you're like, so you hate film. Should we get into what everybody thinks? Because I'm very curious. WrestleTalk.com/support.
Just to answer, Guilty Hat said, yeah, but Luke, you think 2.5 is also a good score? No, it's a mid score. It's literally average. That's the average of a 5 out of 5 score.
Yeah. WrestleTalk.com/support or read out everyone over $5 or more. US. Phantom FTW. Unpopular opinion. This match was unbelievable. Overly long, self-indulgent nonsense. I got what? I thought, unbelievable. There's no justifiable reason for this match to go that long, so don't even try. That's why I think Spears was right. Wardlow should have pinned Matt sooner. Okay, so this is a joke that's been doing the rounds on Reddit.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Everyone I got worked by it. It was like the second most upvoted comment on Reddit. It's exactly that, where you're like, oh, he's talking about Danielson thingy.
Yeah, I see.
Martial Arts. What a banger episode. Started with an insane match and ended with an awesome shirt by CM Punk in Texas, of all places.
Yeah, did you see Punk's shirt?
Pro-choice.
Yeah, it was really cool, wasn't it?
MJCC47, my first Ultra Chat, and I just want to say that winter wasn't the only thing that came last night. Hangman versus Danielson was amazing, but I don't like 2 big matches for Bryan ending in a draw. I feel like it makes Hangman look weak, just in my opinion.
So I think that's the intention, not to make him look weak, because I think that is, I think that's an extreme thing to say, but I think it's supposed to knock his confidence that he didn't win. That's actually just, the last thing we didn't really talk about on this. We sort of did talk about it. If they hadn't have done the time limit draw at Grand Slam, would you have had a different opinion of this time limit draw?
I've got no idea.
I suppose it's impossible to say.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Would you?
I think I would have done. Because you wouldn't have people being like, it's too soon since the last one. And it would have been like the first time limit draw they've had in a long ass time.
But the too soon isn't my problem. If anything, I quite like it because it's Danielson again. There's a whole story we haven't gotten into there that there's an argument Danielson can't do it in the big one. Like, if he's so good, why can't he win in a time limit?
Because I think that for Danielson, because he knows that he can go the time limit, he's in no rush. And then the time limit almost, and so like it gets to the end, and that's when he starts to get a bit more desperate to be like, oh, I've actually wasted a lot of time here. The dude was skinning the cat at like 45, 50 minutes into the match because he can.
I get it, Danielson. You're into your health stuff. Nikos Linados. The IWC so far seems to be conflicted on this match. People either love it or hate it. Though I understand all the criticisms, I thought this match was breathtaking, and to be honest, I preferred the finish to that of Omega versus Bryan. Strong match of the year candidate for me. Thomas Duffrance. I think this isn't a story about Hangman failing his first title defense. It's about Bryan unable to beat the top champions, first with Kenny in a 30-minute non-title match, and now almost losing to Page before the bell saved him. His pride has taken a hit.
That's an interesting one, actually. That's actually something that Page can dive into if Danielson does be like, you couldn't beat me. It's like, well, you couldn't beat me either, and you couldn't beat Omega. Maybe it's you that's the problem.
Yeah, I beat Omega.
Yeah.
Nikos Lindados again. Follow up to my previous chat. What I loved about this was that Bryan is portrayed as this unbeatable bastard and kept Hangman's underdog ultra babyface character despite him being the champion. I do hope, however, that these draws don't become a regularity. We didn't mention that the crowd did boo the finish.
Every draw that I've seen there, the crowd does boo.
Yeah. Charles Berg, I don't feel robbed or let down, so what if nobody won? It was an awesome match that furthers the story, in my opinion. Let's not forget that the other guys would do a 2-minute match that gets DQ'd and leads to a tag match that means nothing. Match was great. Let's not judge it on those standards. Matthew Robinson, OMG, the Bryan Wangman match was so amazing. I was timing it and thought they would end just before 16 minutes, was on the edge of my seat. Truly amazing. Will say the only thing was the extra long time cleaning up blood took me out of it for a second. It's that 3-minute sort of medical stoppage section. Actually, that was one of the parts I really liked. Laxmi Narasimhan B. Liked the show, felt the opener was a tad too long, time that could have helped the other matches to be even better. The time limit draws a lot better way to protect both than a DQ, which changes to a no contest if the bookers forget an undefeated streak. Spider65. On one hand, Page needed another epic match like this to cement he's a top guy. On the other hand, I felt like he deserved better and should have won within the final minute. Hopefully not beating his first contender will play into his story.
Would the finish of this match would your feelings in the finish of this match been changed if Page had already once successfully defended the title?
Maybe, I don't know. Or just if he'd done anything really in the month leading up to this.
Do you think it still would have been a 16-minute draw if it was Moxley?
Well, the curious thing about if it was Moxley, that means he would have beaten Danielson.
Yeah.
So Danielson would have already lost. So if you were going to beat Danielson, which was apparently one of the ideas before Mox was taken out.
I don't think they would have done it. Because I think this is a Danielson thing. This is Bryan Danielson being like, I'm not allowed to do 60-minute matches in the other place. I haven't done them for like 15. Can I do one, please? I really like doing them.
Spider65 again. If there's not a rematch coming soon, I predict Danielson will go unbeaten in AEW for a year plus. I just hope they didn't make Danielson's story a priority over Page's. Thanks for always providing great content. It's an interesting way of looking at it. Yoko Littner. Love the draw. It showed two things. One, how difficult it is to get a win over Danielson. Two, how difficult it is for someone even as talented as Danielson to win a title match in AEW. Omega, one of the best in the world, had to cheat to win.
That's an interesting point.
Sadie Deeganhausen. Hello, my festive time limit cowboys. I loved Dynamite last night. Yeah, of course, because it got an hour of Page. Hangman versus Danielson was 5 stars, even if the draw left me a tiny bit deflated, although I personally would have had made Deeb versus Shida the main event, because Sting wasn't a big shock. Soz, bye. Mr. Kajili. CJ Lilly, whatever it is. Hey guys, do you think having 2 time draws on the same person so close to each other is why this match feels odd? So I feels more like it's AEW's double countout rather than something rare. Second, this is the downside to having so many dream matches no one wants to lose.
I don't think it's a case of not wanting either man to lose. I really do think it is the case of a story being told about both guys.
Yeah, and I guess in that respect, you just have to see how the story pans out. right now, it's not a story I'm particularly excited about. Zoe Sung. This was the first act between Hangman and Bryan Danielson. This was the proof that you deserve it. Now we get the second part. Another reason is Kenny took 30-minute draw. Hangman went 60. Also, they booed the top babyface in the company. Dallas is mid. But, so, yeah, I'll read something like that. I'm like, yeah, it's the first part in the story. But when I watched Danielson Omega, which I also think is the first part in the story, or MJF Derby, which is like part 2 of a story, at the end of it, I'm not like, I'm like, oh, wow, what a first part of the story.
I think you're not into Hangman. I think that is part of the thing. I think it's just, I think Hangman isn't working for you as a champion, because you were always into the chase for Hangman, but you were always about holding off on that win. You were talking about like waiting off until All Out next year before you do it. So
you can never do that with Kenny, though.
So I think maybe it's just that Hangman as champion isn't your cup of tea.
Oh man, that hurts. That hurts for me to hear you diagnose me like that. And it hurts to like maybe think maybe that's true. What do you think is Hangman as champion right now?
I think it's too early for me to sort of say within this reign whether or not I'm enjoying it. This is not the story I was expecting them to go with. I am curious to see where it goes, but I will say I'm not loving it out the gates. I'd have loved to have seen Hangman have like a strong win first, and then you could do this. Having said that, but this doesn't work if he has the strong win. This works so much better because he hasn't, like, because this is the first title defense.
You've got to intentionally take a bit of a hit now for it to pay off later. I mean, I just keep thinking back of where this all started in AEW, which is Page versus Jericho. Didn't work. Still not a good idea, but it was the fuel that started all of this. Paul Kerr, while I understand Ollie's point in the fact that it not went to a conclusion, I'm all for seeing this again at Battle of the Belts. Oh, that's soon.
I think that's too
soon, probably. I also think the manner of the finish makes this different from the Omega-Danielson match. Hangman had him beat, almost. Richard Pugh, I love this match. I was just hooked, pun intended, and I was not surprised by the draw. I think Hangman should be another Undertaker type that chases the title for ages, and when he gets it, he doesn't keep it for long, but not in the WWE way. He gets beat clean or occasionally cheated.
I mean, that spells disaster for me in one of my predictions in the 2022 prediction video.
JS Wooten. This was a 5 out of 5 show, and that was a defining moment for the entire company. Has nothing to do with Page. It has everything to do with Dragon failing to beat him and Kenny. Now he has no excuses. He's a failure, and he has to face it.
I hadn't considered that angle of it. Which, as someone else raised in a chat earlier, I hadn't considered that angle. I was just looking at this from Page's side. I hadn't looked at it from Danielson's side, which actually now makes me more interested in the story, to be honest.
Devon, I was really hoping for a pinfall at about 59 minutes with maybe Danielson's leg under the rope so that he could go. I wasn't really beat.
I think they're doing that with FTR and the Lucha Bros, so I don't think you want to do that twice.
Omar, should we do all of the chats related to this?
I'd say, we've still got like another 3 or so pages yet.
Omar Jose. Although I genuinely loved the match, the thing that worried me is that it was the same finish as the Kenny match. I trust AEW to see where it goes, but I fear that this will become a trend every time you want to protect both guys in a match. Zoe Sung again. This was the final boss's first boss fight in the beginning of the game. Bryan Danielson was taking him lightly and not going full killer, while the player Hangman realized he needs to get stronger. It's perfect. Adam Goff. Regarding the 2 close time limit draws for Danielson, I expect this will be the basis of a Danielson-Hangman Omega triple threat when Omega returns. This is the match I expect Danielson to win.
I saw a few people suggest that. And I was talking about that on Larson, Stephen Larson actually, about also doing it as the traditional 3-way dance. So it's elimination rather than just a standard triple threat.
I love the old 3-way dance. Legion 428. I had just explained to my wrestling-hating wife that one of the reasons I like AEW is that matches have actual finishes. So when the match pulled her in and she got invested, the finish made her furious. A draw is a finish to me.
It is. It's a finish to me as well.
A win, a loss, or a draw, those are finishes, like proper match sporting finishes.
Yeah. I know. I don't.
Interference, walking backwards up the ramp and claiming you won.
Yeah, DQs. I don't buy the argument of. I honestly cannot buy the argument of the time limit draw was done to protect both guys. I don't think that's the case.
Committed Productions. I was there last night. Great show. Danielson teased a yes chant and everyone went ballistic. That happened in the... Of course, me and Luke watched the fight broadcast, so no ad breaks. I've seen a lot of people being like, oh my God, I hated the ads. And I cannot imagine watching this with ad breaks. But in one of the ad breaks, Danielson went to do the yes and then middle fingered everyone. I'd say people were sadder about no debuts rather than the time limit draw, but it was just Garland after all. Also, you boys are in for a botch on Friday.
Yeah, because they taped Rampage after the show.
Well, they can edit that out. Alex Autry. Paige Danielson is not unlike Flair Wyndham's matches in the late 80s. 60-minute matches makes me want to see who the real winner is. Brendan, 60-minute match, totally fine with. I just feel it's the point in Paige's reign and the story.
Yeah, no, I totally get your standing on it.
Brendan Irwin. I enjoyed the match, but I feel like Paige is always one big signature move short. Oh, what are you doing? Dead Eye? Buckshot?
Yeah. You did the tombstone?
Yeah. There's only so many ways to make a lariat feel special, or maybe the match just needed more hook. Jam that jam.
A lariat can always feel special.
Nate S., who's been a Memberg for 8 months. Thank you. Just got my Revolution weekend tickets. Oh, match of the year, top contender. Love the finish. Paige was on top at the bell instead of being saved by the bell. Important distinction. 2K, actually, you take over.
2K and Mel. Just like you guys, I don't know how I feel about the draw. I think the most logical way to conclude this is to have a 3-way between Hangman, Omega, and Danielson for the title, and also include Bobby Lashley as well.
Very good.
The Jam 1, Jam bid. I think some potential outcomes from the draw is that Page starts losing his newfound confidence because he couldn't win his first title defense. Another outcome is that it affects Bryan since he couldn't beat Omega or Page. But we all know the true story outcome of the 60-minute draw is that Wangman stayed stiff even after being beaten for an hour.
Well, when you get a scroll on, you never know when to end it, yeah.
Perseus M. I agree with Ollie. I was personally expecting the Deeb versus Shida match to go a time limit draw and for Hangman to win clean because of the build-up of Danielson going through the Dark Order. Roger P. The caption on Hangman's entrance said he did not like the ending of Game of Thrones. It was foreshadowing. Many did not like the ending of this match. It's effing brilliant.
That is astounding. You know what? If that's intentional, I love the finish.
JWolf74. Loved this match. My daughters, who have zero attention span, sat transfixed for the entire hour. They even asked to re-watch it when they get home from school. They never re-watch matches.
Well, that's great to hear.
Eternal Blue's been a Membug for 7 months in a row. I dislike that people see draws as a cop-out. It's a competition. It's not 3-hour draws like back in the 1950s. Such lack of patience nowadays.
Well, they're all on their phones, aren't they? Just ask Ridley. Ridley Scott.
Ewan Main. Prior to Full Gear was Hangman's quest to win the title and his failures along the way. Now he is learning how to become a champion. From not rushing to pin Bryan at the end to proving he can have long matches and in the win these matches and how to win these matches versus him. Danny Torkel, I love the match. Hangman can use this as to get into Danielson's head. He can beat Kenny when Bryan Danielson couldn't, and Danielson can't seem to win the big matches this year. Remember rematch of Battle of the Belts, I hope? What do you think the Revolution main event is? I wonder if the Revolution main event will be Danielson Hangman.
Yeah, maybe. I don't see Battle of the Belts going back to this so soon. I'm trying to play out Page going up to Danielson. Yeah, but you couldn't beat me in 60 minutes. I almost had you beat. I'm not sure I buy that.
I think you can certainly make the argument that if we'd have had 10 more seconds, I would have won. Because that was, Danielson's argument to Omega.
Be curious how the crowd reacts to that.
Christopher Jazzcat, I like the draw. I'm a sucker for hour draws. I think it's a good way of establishing Hangman in ring as champion. Not my match of the year. That would be Jay White versus Kota Ibushi. And with Ollie on the lights thing, though, you got to save that for something special. Loved Punk's t-shirt. Lakshmi Nirchamhambi, sorry. I guess Page could turn it around, going, you had 30 minutes and could beat Omega, whereas I did. Hell, you had 60 minutes to beat me and you didn't. Best wrestler? Yeah, right. Leading to more Dark Order head kicking.
I don't want to see more of the Dark Order stuff, I don't think.
BL Dog 97. I commented this on the review. Hangman's value is tied to Kenny. Without him, Page is just a taller Tony Nese with a great look in ring and a more forgettable character. This felt more like building Danielson as someone even the champs can't beat.
I mean, I disagree with you, BL Dog. It's not a opinion you often see these days, is it? Like Hangman Page is generic. I don't agree with that.
And lastly for now, Devon. Haven't we had 2 years of self-doubt with Hangman Page? Can't we move on to where he's, actually a confident wrestler?
Yes, I think that's where my opinion's at. But at the same time, you're like, well, AEW and particularly the Elite are all about doing very psychologically complex, layered stories. And the way to continue that is not just, hey, I won the big thing, everything's fine now. It's to continue telling that story. No, this is an issue that you live with forever.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you are trying to overcome your confidence issues and you finally do overcome them, and then the very first thing that happens to you is that confidence gets battered away, you're like, maybe I was wrong. Like that is for me, is the next logical chapter of a story.
Yeah, it's like what
as opposed to being like, and I'm great now.
Yeah. It's like what happens in the movie after the geeky guy saves the world and gets the girl. I bet he's got like serious PTSD.
Yeah, probably. Seen some things.
Right. Let's go through the rest of this episode. We'll do it quite bullet pointy just because we've already dedicated a lot of the show to the opening hour. But after that, we get Adam Cole, the Young Bucks, and Bobby Fish sort of in a Christmas scene, and they set up an 8-man tag for Rampage against the Best Friends. And Cole teases for next week's Dynamite that he's got a present.
And it's not a Toblerone. It's likely Kylie O'Reilly.
Kylie O'Reilly.
I like Kylie O'Reilly.
It was like an A4 sized wrapped up thing, which could be a contract.
Yeah.
And Kyle O'Reilly tweeted out, you see this?
Mm-hmm. The eyes emoji.
Oh, no. Also,
and what's in the box?
Yeah, from Fight Club.
You can't say this because people think you don't know the reference.
It's Zodiac. We got Wardlow versus Matt Sydal after this. It was just Wardlow powerbombing Matt Sydal twice, and he was going to keep doing it because we love to see it. But Sean Spears grabbed the mic, he's a counter-biller buddy, and said, I'm not paid by the hour, buddy. Come on. Let's end this.
I love Sean Spears being like, don't listen to the fans. That's not what you're here to do. Just powerbomb this geek and let's get out of here.
This is such a good story, performance. Just everything is working perfectly here. And just the idea that Wardlow is getting over with these powerbombs and they latched on to that and the fans want to see it. And Sean's like, no. Oh, perfect.
And then afterwards, Wardlow being this massive powerhouse like guy who's just powerbombed Matt Sydal into the center of the earth. Sean Spears like, you need to go buy some champagne now because we're going to have a party later.
Yeah, because MJF rang him up. Cannot wait for Wardlow to Hulk out. Ty Conti and Penelope Ford got a video package. They'll be having a match.
Didn't we already have this feud this year?
Yeah, because it was with the Bunny and Anna Jay as well.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen this a lot.
But, everyone, this to me seems like a dark feud. But they're building Ty Conti.
It's not a dark feud. It's a Rampage feud from 3 months ago.
One of the most interesting things on the show, for my money, was a really well-shot, produced, directed, just conceived, almost short film rather than a video package of Malakai Black in what I guess is the House of Black.
Seems so. He had a table with chairs and stuff. And I was waiting, like, there's someone already who has counted those chairs and is working out who sits in each one of them. There's probably like a little symbol, like that's curved a lot like the hair of Griff Garrison. So that's probably his seat.
Well, he was laying down tarot cards as well. I thought, are those the place? That's the cool thing. There's so much to dive into and get excited about. He goes outside, he gets handed a book, and he seemingly inducts someone into the House of Black by spitting mist in their face. Hazing, eh? That's what we did. That's what we did when anyone joins here.
Well, we can't do Wrestler's Court anymore.
I've got to spit in their face on the first day. Yeah, it's a power thing. And he whispers in this person's ear, now you're so much more than a king.
which ties into the news story that apparently they signed Brody King almost immediately after Ring of Honor announced they were going on hiatus. Like Thanksgiving weekend, Brody King was informed that he had been signed, but they've been keeping it quiet. So presumably, he's PWG Tag Champ with Malakai Black. The rumor is most likely that it's him. And that all ties together. That's really cool.
And I think because later on, Varsity Blondes cut a promo about you spat in Julia Hart's eyes. We don't like you. And Brian Pillman's like, hey, dude, like, don't. Yeah, it's Malakai Black.
Let's not do that.
Let's just get rid of Julia, shall we? Let's just forget. Let's forget she was with us.
Can we just get someone else?
Yeah.
We'll call her Julia.
And Griff was like, I'll face you next week. So maybe this is a easy first feud for Malakai and Brody King to just destroy the Varsity Blondes.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Very excited, though. Serena Deeb and Hikaru Shida had their rubber match next. Unfortunately.
Man, I was so gutted.
I know.
This was one of my favorite feuds of the year. Like, I loved both of the matches that they had. And it felt like the second match was even better than the first, which I thought was absolutely terrific. But this is a feud that AEW have not given enough attention to. Mm-hmm. It's on TV, and then it's not for 5 weeks, and then and now a match is happening. Here's a video package. Get excited, will you?
Why?
And so you're kind of unsurprised that following an hour-long match between Danielson and Page, that they're not really into this match here at all. I don't blame the crowd in Texas for not being into this match. And they both worked really hard, but I think you said it right in the review. It was the less good of the three, or the least good of the three. It wasn't a bad match.
It was a stand-up match.
But it wasn't the best. It didn't feel like the blow-off rubber match that it really should have felt like.
Also, the finish was Deeb gets pushed into the exposed turnbuckle, which she'd exposed, and Shida wins with a sort of jackknife pin. So it's like, oh, that wasn't really the rubber match finisher hit. Boom, 1, 2. It felt like a setup for another match.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah, a bit of a misfire there. A recap of Hook's debut. Awesome. Eddie Kingston cut he just listed people he's tagging with. I'm like, this is the promo of the year.
It really is.
He's tagging with Santana, Ortiz, Penta, and Phoenix.
Oh, I love it.
For a 10-man tag this Friday against 2.0, Daniel Garcia, and The Acclaimed.
Yeah. I cannot wait for that match. I think that's going to be a hell of a lot of fun.
A 10-man tag and an 8-man tag on an hour-long show, though.
Yeah, and then just two women there who are just having their one match. They really do feel like tokenism at that point. Yeah, I'm sure all three matches will be very good.
And the main event was MJF versus Dante Martin. For anyone who was concerned that MJF was now a full-on babyface after his Long Island reaction last week, he came out and said, Texas, your daughter swallows.
Just off the bat.
So babyface.
Yeah. And then
going to Texas.
And then he did his new favorite thing, which is to say that CM Punk is a WWE wrestler.
Hey, that Punk started it.
His reply saying, you're just Ryback.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Brilliant.
You're not championship material. You think you're championship material for winning underwhelming matches against underwhelming opponents. I just thought that made you Ryback, which is such a genius comparison because of Punk's own history with Ryback. Killer line. But this led into him versus Dante. Great clash of styles. MJF being this grounded heel. Dante doing all the flips, including one springboard shooting star to the outside where he overshot and just pancaked his upper torso and face on the ramp.
Commentators did a very good job of covering for it, being like, caught him with the knee.
I think he got all of it.
if anything, that hurts more.
But ultimately, Dante nearly had it won. I don't think he was anywhere near having it won, but he did have a pin. But Ricky Starks put MJF's foot on the ropes. That distracted Dante enough. MJF rolls him, sort of gets him into the armbar, taps, wins. Yeah. Third Diamond Ring victory.
3-peat. Glad to see it. I like MJF. I think MJF having the Diamond Ring is way better than him not having the Diamond Ring. So what's Dante going to do with the Diamond Ring?
Look sad. Look sad and betray some loved ones.
No, it's much better. Apparently he hasn't betrayed them. He's still with Leo. Apparently they did a thing on social media where they said that they're a team again now.
It's not been the best told story.
No, it really isn't, is it?
But after that, MJF is celebrating with FTR. I did just a tiny detail here. No Spears and Wardlow from the Pinnacle because they had gone to get the champagne.
Do you know what's also great about that? Is on Twitter, MJF was like, where the hell was Wardlow? Which is, he sent him away and is now blaming him for not being there.
So they're celebrating, lights cut out. And you're like, oh, it's Winter is Coming.
It's the Briscoes.
Sting debuted last year.
It's Bray Wyatt.
The lights are going to come back up.
It's Keith Lee.
It's Sting again.
Yeah, I mean, when the lights went down, this crowd popped because they were like, we're seeing a debut here. And then it was just thinking, and like, the crowd were like, oh, cool. Yeah,
it is their thing, actually. Okay.
Yeah, it is their thing. And I really like Sting and Darby Allin. So that was cool. And then they started doing the beatdown, and then MJF, the numbers game got too much for them. CM Punk chants started happening. Punk comes out, and he makes the save, and he announces a 6-man tag for Dynamite next week.
Love that. I think, Punk now being with Sting and Darby, considering the first feud when he came back, I think that's just excellent stuff.
Yeah, the show's
and I get to see Punk interact with MJF again.
Yeah, so the show next week is called Holiday Bash, and there was a comment left on your review that said it should be called The Fight Before Christmas.
I know.
Oh my god, that's way better.
But yes, it was. I don't think it was a cheap trick. I don't think they were trying to fool anyone into thinking a debute's going to happen.
No, this is what Sting does.
Yeah,
Sting's whole deal is that Sting and Malakai Black are the two guys where the lights go down and come back up.
Yeah, but I don't think this was the show to do it on. And I think they should probably ease back on the old lights on, lights off stuff.
Loves it. Tony loves it.
Because it's cool, it's great, but it does, it makes you think something big is going to happen. And then when it comes back and it's, the expected thing, you're like, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess you're right, but...
This is a bit like when they had the lights changing last week for the Diamond Battle Royal thing, and everyone's like, oh, that's a teaser of Bray Wyatt. It's like, no, I think that was them just signaling that they were now in the final 3.
It's like the Elimination Chamber.
Exactly.
Yeah, that one, that's ridiculous, that one. Well, overall, I gave it a 4 out of 5. Should have been a 5 out of 5.
Of course you did. So, the community poll, 62% 5 out of 5. 25% said it was a 4 out of 5. 9% 3 out of 5.
Yeah, well, I think even looking at these chats here, weirdly, because the comments on my news video are sort of more skewed towards our, not unimpressed, but, where we're at with the show. So, yeah, I'm surprised by that. Should we do some Patreon shout-outs?
We probably should.
Did NXT TakeOver go live?
It hasn't yet. No, that's going to be tomorrow.
Oh, what a reason to sign up to Patreon.
Patreon.com/WrestleTalk. Myself and Ollie Davis review NXT TakeOver London from 2015, a show we both attended. We talk a lot about our experiences being there live. Star Wars The Force Awakens takes up a large portion of the podcast chat. And it's a really fun time. And it's a really interesting retrospective look at NXT where you're like, this product wasn't the product I thought it was, or I remember it being.
Also on Patreon, you get yourself a shout out on this very show if you go over $25 a month.
Can I just say that Pete has really not thought this out, because Pete has written down here some Patreon shout outs for the SmackDown episode that goes out on the 25th of December.
Surely he means the week up. No, there's no SmackDown episodes that. There's only a few. Well, he's back next week. Where were we? The Emperor's New Groove, Nick Lama.
Oh, sorry, I got some music. The Big Bad Dog, Ryan Hansen.
Golden, Nick Holden.
Jackson T. Roller.
The Overstepper, James Nepper.
The Intellectual Savior of the Masses, Damian Campbell.
The Machine Gun, Alex Anderson.
Michael, Mark for Life, Plowman.
Thomas O. Champa.
The Song of Icefire, 352.
Peter Fiber Brauntus.
And lastly, for this Hall of Fame class, on the 16th of December 2021, Yo Adrian, Rocky.
Let's get into your wonderful Omega chats. Thank you, everybody who's donated so far. Audio Flesh. Ugh. Hangman versus Danielson mirrored Okada versus Omega vibes, and who better to take Danielson to the draw than the person who beat Omega? It shows that Danielson can't be beat, which sets up a bigger win for Page down the line. Maybe Page wins a Punk Danielson three-way.
I haven't seen Punk being into it, like inserted into this three-way idea.
Jonathan Hedman, you kids with your loud music and your Dan Fogelberg, your Zima, hula hoops, and Pac-Man video games, don't you see? People today have attention spans that can only be measured in nanoseconds. This match was awesomeness. Shannon R.S. Smith, you guys see how invested everyone is to why did this draw? Was it good? Was it bad? When is rematch? Why can't Bryan beat top guys? Will Page confidence drop? I think outcome was great because we are all dying to see what's next.
That's an excellent point.
Adam Simpson, 5-month Memberg. Well, hot damn, what a match. I had a feeling it would be an hour because it was the opener, but Hangman pinning. Will Bryan Omega 2 out of 3 be a full Dynamite?
I wonder if that's 2 out of 3 falls, maybe?
J.S. Wooten. Dragon drawing should... That's what cool people call Bryan Danielson. Or I saw someone write Dragon.
Oh, yeah?
Because he draws a lot.
Does he really?
Bryan Danielson, he's drawn twice.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant like the act of drawing, like is it, you're playing telestrations or something.
Dragon drawing should mean that he's kicked down the rankings, which means Battle of the Belts could be Page versus Miro. Also, Ollie totally loves the chase of the Page character and not the actual relationship. I thought you weren't a player, Ollie, you dog. Yeah, goddamn, this is news to me as well. I'm learning something about myself. Punk, Rocks and Soda. I very genuinely loved the Hangman versus Danielson match. Admittedly, I was a little cold on the finish at first, but warmed up when I started realizing that it could possibly be about Hanger's obvious potential and first step in the world of a world champion. Abortion Reborn. Daniel Bryan, you came in fresh into a match and you still couldn't out-wrestle my tired, aching, week-to-week wrestling body, but you did last longer than Kenny would have. I'm proud of you, Hangers. I'm proud of you, Hangers. Rene Corpus. A part of me wishes that the Danielson versus Page draw would eventually be a build way into the future, a triple threat between Omega, Danielson, and Page. Love you guys. Stay safe for the holidays.
Thank you very much. Lord Jackson said, that title match, chef kiss, effing excellent. But man, I wish Shida and Deeb had got more time. Still a great match, don't get me wrong, but the ads and crowd hurted. Luke was right, should have been at Full Gear. The show overall was excellent 4 out of 5. Lord Jackson, there was a tournament. They couldn't have done another match there, apparently. Romeo Casido. IGN defines their 10 out of 10 rating as a masterpiece. Perfect show does not equal a perfect score, but AEW 4 out of 5 should be well within their creative and talent potential. The 5 out of 5 show seems to be reliant on things outside of their control, like timely debuts.
I don't think so. I think I've given a 5 out of 5 show to...
Just regular shows.
Just regular shows, yeah.
The Guilty Hats. In all my years of watching pro wrestling, I have never felt as much heat towards a heel act as when the Young Bucks threatened to end Sue's career. Truly despicable. MJF should take notes.
Well, Bubba Ray says, or Bully Ray, there's no real heels these days. I dare you. Someone be a proper heel today.
But do you remember when there was that heel that was really mean to Velvet Sky in Ring of Honor? And then he had to go at her backstage because Velvet Sky felt bad about it.
Wasn't that a fan, though?
Yeah, it was, yeah. But it's like, you want a real heel, right? You made Velvet Sky feel bad.
Well, I guess it's okay to go one way.
Brenda Irwin. Black is using the mist to recruit minions. Julia Hart is already infected with Griff soon to follow. The Vastly Blondes become 2022's Midian and Viscera. Nickname took forever. It's been a Memberg for 8 months in a row. Just simply writes, Hook.
Well, Membergs get a free Ultra, an Ultra Chat included in their membership every month.
Oh, yeah.
And that is the perfect way to use it. Just write Hook.
Bubba232 has been a Memberg for 8 months in a row. Said, get to see Spider-Man later based on what Luke said. I hope I'm ready for it.
I don't know if I'm going to go.
What?
Well, because, everything's going on right now.
Do you know what? Actually,
it's going to be a packed cinema.
Yeah, a friend of mine said this as well, actually, that he really wants to see it. It was Rabs Lawrence said, I really want to see it, but, I don't know if I want to go to a cinema right now. And actually, Chris Scullion had a really good point. It's like, I think Sony are missing a trick not putting this on, on the PlayStation Store. You can't put it on Disney Plus because it's not a Disney product, but you could certainly put it on the PlayStation Store. William Rossmer, Luke, you may have dressed up as Tom Holland. You may have messed up Tom Holland's name, but at least you didn't make him cry. Ollie, you got screwed last night. 2021 is not repetition. Justice for Ollie.
Thank you very much, William. So Sully told a story where he made Tom Holland cry at the Brit school. They went to school together.
Did they really?
Yeah.
No way.
Sully was like a senior and Tom Holland was in his first year.
Yeah.
It was a big improv thing.
And he made him cry?
Yeah, but I don't know how much was acting crying.
Oh, I see.
Tom Holland's a good actor.
He's a very good actor. And Tom Holland is as well. ML Smith has just become a member. Thank you very much. And lastly, the Zornies has said, how is the man that gave his best friend a birthday gift he already owns allowed to judge the gifts TK gives us?
It's not my fault.
Laurie didn't know either, neither did Adam. JK, I love this show and match. Me equals attention span of a toddler, and we are all talking about it. Do you remember the joke when Wardlow debuted?
Yeah, just walking around in a car park, and we thought, Wardlow, what kind of name is that?
There was a woman with him.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to that woman?
I wonder.
Came MJF.
Well, that's all we've got time for today. We managed that in almost an hour.
Oh,
a lot to talk about. But thank you, everybody who joined us here. Thanks for being like a good, respectful, understanding crowd as well, because, you know, it's always worrying when you come into a stream or a review video and you're like, oh, I think my opinion jars with the general consensus. So thank you for respectfully understanding.
You all rule.
But for now, I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Luke Owen, DAD. Jam that jam.
Jam that jam, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow. It's me and Denise Salcedo. Bye, everyone.